And hello again. Welcome back to the stream. It's your host Marley Startled, and today I'm going to be showing you the one of my builds I've done for the Barbarossa campaign. So I've skipped all the hours long of waiting and generally created a rather good exploitation soft attack unit. This probably won't work in multiplayer because of the reason I'm about to show you, but I do believe that the future now is not in. Let me just shift this around. Is not in making these massive 20 divisions worth of tanks, but having 2 or 3, 4 or 5 heavy hitter tanks and exploitation units. So as you can see, I've got about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 divisions of panzers, and the rest, like the 15 others, are exploitation units. Because I believe that the resource cost of tanks now is so expensive that you're no longer going to be able to make these massive tank armies. You're going to have a few heavy hitter tanks, and the rest are going to have to be exploitation. So why I've done this build is I focus on light tanks for single player. Multiplayer, you're probably going to have to do medium tanks for the armor, but I focus a lot on soft attack and breakthrough. So my research, I went down the 1941 light, which I rushed, and then went down the engine and armor trees. Then I went down the artillery, and I went down fighters. Now you won't have to do this in multiplayer because of course you'll have the Romania guy and maybe the Hungary doing Cas. It's not really worth it, but it's just a point to make out if you're playing single player, something you should probably be doing. Construction, for the obvious. I will point out you may need more fuel, but then again in Romania you'll be land leasing it to you. So what did I do for my tanks? So let me just show you the advanced light tank design. I focused heavily on the close support gun for the soft attack, followed by the 3-man turret for that extra breakthrough, radio for that defense and breakthrough even more, the smoke launcher for defense and breakthrough, this for extra armor because the light tanks are going to need a lot of armor, otherwise it's not going to work, and the wet damage storage for higher reliability. I then went down the Christie suspension for the extra speed. But actually, if you're going to use this in multiplayer, you probably want to do, say, something with a bit more defense or a bit more reliability. You probably want to be doing that. And I went for the gasoline engine. Now, I then upped up the engine to about 8 and the armor to 17. Now, because this is my breakthrough vehicle, you can probably lower this even down by 1 more and increase the armor by a bit more if you've got the extra research to do it. And then that way, you're going to have more reliability and more armor, allowing you to punch through those stronger units. And then this allows me to really have a very good exploitation vehicle. You can see with my breakthrough, it's at 50, my soft attack's at 25, and my hard attack is not very good. So against a anti-tank, like any anti-tank will probably pierce this bad boy. And however, it's got decent breakthrough to hopefully avoid a lot of the attacks. This eventually culminated in the Panzer division with a soft attack of 285, which isn't bad. 300 is sort of the level we're going to get to. And a breakthrough of 796, which is extremely good. Equally, I can actually cut some of these guys out and make even more light tanks, increase the armor even more because I'm around that sort of 30% org limit. But regardless, this means that I have a fairly good breakthrough vehicle. The speed's probably too fast. I could slow it down a bit more. And it will punch through a lot of enemy troops, especially ones that don't have anti-tank. Then for my motorized, my exploitation vehicle, I because I had the mobile warfare doctrine, I went with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 motorized artillery, and the rest are motorized. And these will be the exploitation. So they've got a solid soft attack, even more than the tanks, less breakthrough, but more defense. And these guys can push through and get those resources. The actual end cost for this tank is about 28. However, you don't need a lot of them, and because it only takes steel and chromium, and Germany has a lot of steel, it isn't that big an issue. Then I put 30 on fighters, about 7 on close air support, and the rest guns. However, I am tempted to put more in guns just in case, even though I do already have a large swath of guns ready to go. So 1940, I started switching to doing industry. At the start of 1941, I started switching to industry and began building up. And you can see I've got 130 divisions on D-Day defense, and the rest 130 are my standard infantry, which are as follows. These fellows. Yes, the 18 whips. I was going to do 20 whip, but I forgot, and it's just got these two. I suppose I could add logistics companies as well, and an infantry company as well. And I should quite easily afford to do that. So when does my time limit start? I've already had war with Soviet Union, haven't I? Yep. I can now declare war on the Soviets now if I want. At any time. So we're going to wait till the historical part of June and then we're going to begin. I didn't have any issues with fighters this time. I've got some fighters trying to pester me, but I'll show you in a second what I did for my fighters. I'll add some more. So I think another big thing is reliability now for fighters. A lot of people stack engines and weapons, but I did a lot in reliability just to make sure the weapon it was much more reliable, and so I didn't have to make as many from collapse. And then for my close air support, I also did pack, and I was going to do some reliability as well. For my doctrines, of course, I went down. Oh, let's get one of these bad boys. Let's go motorization drive. I went down this tree to modern blitzkrieg. I'm not even at the bottom of it yet. However, I do recommend that once you've gone to war economy and you've gone to free trade, you do get some of these guys. And I've really tried to stack armor and breakthrough. So as you can see for this guy, division speed plus 10%, armor attack plus 15%, and with the actual doctrine itself, you get a increased speed to break through and increased division speed. So you can have a lot of fast divisions to break through with. So really trying to stack that speed together to punch through and take the next positions. Afterwards, I did a lot on air, and now I'm going to do a lot on construction repair, because construction repair is actually very, very powerful now, and actually very important. What do you mean not paid licenses? Whatever. In any case, I would say in single player you won't be able to break through the south because of once you go to war and bring all the allies in, all the allies will stack on that front and starve you out, so you want to be pushing in the center for single player. Altogether, it's a very effective build. I'm going to demonstrate it to you now, because a lot of people say you can't break through, you can't build anymore, but in fact you can rather easily. So I'll let this carry on to free speed, especially if you're using light tanks. But what I do recommend is those medium tanks with high armor, potentially going mechanized if possible, and then using those to do the initial breakthrough, and then your motorized artillery push through and do the further exploitation. So we're going to make sure we are aiming for the supply hub. So the first supply hub here. Or in fact, the supply hub here instead. We get some juicy encirclements. Using the blitz, which is actually very good. So I'm just going to let the AI take the wheel on this. And I'm going to have to buy a lot of oil. I can buy oil from anyone, but I'm just going to buy it from these guys for now. So we'll wait for a bit while the game continues, and we will chill. So what I would recommend if you're going to multiplayer and you are attempting to do a armor, I would say just use normal cannons or anti-tank cannons if possible, if you can get to that stage. For your tanks, getting that armor up, staying around about 9 km per hour, 30 whips, because 40 whips won't work on certain areas, and trying to break through that way. And that should counteract a lot of the anti-tanks, which would prove a problem. Anyway, we're going to wait until June time before we declare war. You can see I've just done my general garrisons. I've got a healthy amount of factories even for this, and Italy has failed completely to attack there. Very interesting war down south and actually North Africa, because you can see there's no connecting supply lines in this area, so there'll be a lot of back and forth things. So in multiplayer, you're going to have a lot of the you're going to have the Italy player build up logistics centers in the front of North Africa, which will be very costly for them. I'm going to talk about FOW for you. However, it is, I suspect, rather necessary. And at the same time, I'm always going to be constantly repairing or upgrading my supply lines to prevent starvation. I no longer need guns, so we're happy with that, and we can just continue on. So I'm going to wait till the 1st of June, which is not too historical, but you know how it is. And then we're going to declare war. Also, another very important thing to note is I have put most of my close air support and fighters over this sector. That's to assist with the breakthrough, and I can't be bothered to micro it, so that's why. So if we click the OK button and the attack button for these fellows, we'll just see what happens with Operation Barbarossa. So as you can see, we're already punching through, although we've got minus 7% attack. We're very easily breaking through this sector, and we're going to hopefully go around it very quickly. So it'll take some time, but once the initial breakthrough is made, you'll just be able to soar on through. Let's wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. And then we can start seeing the full operations of this wonderful build. See, the motorized has got there quicker. They're not entrenched, so you can just keep punching through. I'm still punching through, and because there's a lot of soft attack, I'm not using a lot of fuel in the battles, meaning that I can go punch for longer rather than just, you know, go for that standard speed. So I'm just going to, my panzers, of course, just going to keep on advancing. Some sabotage to the engines, but as you can see, it's just such a disgusting build, especially for single player. It has just wiped out a load of units. You won't be able to see encirclements and things like that with the current build because of they've changed it around. However, you can just see how effective it is. So they're going to punch through, just going to punch through. It's going to be pretty easy because they're going nice and fast with that stack speed. Already your first encirclement of 15 divisions. And you can hold, stop, look at the supply lines, see where you need to go next. So we need to take Vilnius, and we also need to hand this to mechanized and upgrade it. So if we want to keep on punching, I suspect we will probably want to start punching through Vilnius to Agris. So I'm going to put our mechanized up here. I'll put our exploitation vehicle up here and prepare once again for another breakthrough. And because of the current build as well, the Soviets won't be that strong early on, really allowing you to capitalize on the initial breakthroughs. Even though it's raining, it's still not really doing a lot of damage to me or slowing me down. Although my oil could be better, so I'm going to start buying it from the Americans before they cut me off. Once again, we're going to wait for a bit, wait till our supplies back again. And already there's massive holes lining up in the enemy lines. So that's why if you're going to be the Soviet player, you are going to need air and you are going to need a lot of divisions. I'm not even going to be microing this because I can't be bothered to. I've played this all day and you can just see they're pinning by themselves, they're advancing, still not really running out of oil because, well, simply because they are winning the battles too quickly. And if they are in the harder fighting areas, they're already close to their supply lines. So we can just force speed it. This should work with medium tanks as well. However, you are going to probably need to reduce your... The good thing about light tanks is that it uses mostly steel. And that means you don't really have to spend a lot of your civs as Germany building light tanks. However, this will be easily countered by any anti-tank, like even if it's motorized anti-tank. So you are going to go mediums, and it means it's going to reduce the size of your troops. It's going to reduce the size of your panzer arm, but because most of my stuff is motorized anyway, it doesn't really matter. And if you look at my stores, I've already got 1.9k stacked in the bank. This is not very impressive, but for a lot of people who are struggling with the meta, the new focuses on the new meta or the new supply issues, you can see that really as long as you stack that soft attack and keep the battle going quickly and advancing quickly, you're not going to have too many problems with running out of fuel. It's only when you get bogged down by strong defenses. And because the soft attack is stacked and we've got enough armor against a single player Russia, we can punch through quickly without any problems. So that entire sector is now overrun. we'll be able to advance pretty easily now. And then we're going to pause, look for the next supply line. Oh, the game's bugging out a bit because it's going so fast. And because I've just deleted that front line. There we are. So next, find the next supply line. So the next important supply line will be this fellow, and probably this fellow down south. So if I move my army down south, or move the Panzer arm down south, and wait for a bit, we should be okay. You can see here, that's why I don't push in Romania anymore, because there's how many troops are there which just aren't yours. And you'll just end up starving. Fortunately, the AI doesn't really move up where I'm going. But then once again, once I find the supply line, I'm going to blitz up to it. And select OK. I'm going to buy a lot of oil from the Americans before they cut me off. Once all my guys are down there, we'll carry on. And of course, you've got to bear in mind in multiplayer, you need more vehicles, more factories in there. But then again, you're going to have the boosting from your Axis and Axis supporters, and you're going to have a lot of you can have other nations building air as well, so you're not going to have that much of a problem. And you're never going to win the air effort, but I would recommend building some anti-air here and here as well, just to prevent the inevitable air, well, logistics bombing and air issues. This is a pretty obvious affair now. I am pushing into unpleasant tiles now. However, you can see up north, I've already made it to Leningrad. Well, I'm almost at Leningrad. And because these guys are going so fast, if I just show it to you, they can sometimes get overruns because of the speed. So we are pushing into not very good tiles, sadly, but unfortunately you've got to push through eventually and get through it. So I'm going to hold here because of the tiles, not because of anything else really, just because the AI is mostly focusing on those tiles and I don't really want to. So instead I'm going to start punching through from the north again. Also, I'm running out of people, which is funny. So if you look at the supply lines, if I move to take this fellow, make sure I'm constantly upgrading the supply lines. So here we've got a captured one at Minsk. So we're going to go to mechanized. I can't upgrade it yet because we need to change the rail lines, but eventually we will be able to. Why am I struggling? Is it because I'm running out of stuff? No. Oh, it's the fuel. It's the fuel. Sorry, I thought that was my supply. It wasn't. Anyway. It's going to take a while. Just take your time, chill out. I'm doing wide fronts because, of course, if you put all your troops on one stack, it's not going to work. And we're going to break through once more. At the same time, I'm going to upgrade my fellow, so he's organisation first, and I'll make sure he gets unexpected thrust when able to. See, it's just demolishing these lines. I'm already moving my way through. It's all about exploitation. I've already encircled this fellow. It's just bugged out. Taking this objective, I'm going to start moving down. I'm going to have to move my units again because they all decided to move to that front, which I don't want to do. So that's going to go here instead. We'll let the Romanians take control. So this is where things get a bit awkward because of the supply lines. However, we've captured the other supply hub. So the reason why you can't do big encirclements like in day one anymore. You've got to punch through, secure this line, and if you had, say, a player, you'd be punching through the other way to get up there. Yeah, that's no longer going to happen, but you're going to capture the supply line. They won't be able to counterattack because they'll have no troops in reserve. You capture the supply lines, wait a few days, get your railroad back up, and then you'll counterpunch again. But of course, if you're feeling particularly devilish, you can give it a go. And of course, I'm running out of oil once more. This won't work, but then again, you would be getting land lease this. You would be getting land lease from the Romanian player. So, although this would not work in getting that oil would not work in a multiplayer game overseas unless the allies are pants. It will work in most cases against an AI because they won't really convoy raid you. So their supply line has been completely cut off, which means that yes, they're not encircled on paper, but in fact they're no longer getting supply. They won't be able to fight effectively, and all these units will have much more greater difficulty breaking out. At the same time, advancing in other areas, just doing a general advance. Making sure I upgrade this and go to motorized. I'm constantly using that to tack up. Oh yeah, and this is not using air transport. So however, you can see the oil of doing these offensives is extremely expensive. So I'm going to change my research to get more of that oil. And I'm going to build a lot more refineries now as well. He says, there we are, now it's kicked in. So we've almost cut them off. I would be wary of AI player counterattacks at this stage, but once again, you would be expanding much more slowly and steadily as this went on. There you are, our first big encirclement. Pretty much the majority of the Soviet army, basically. So we'll stop, close down this encirclement. And then carry on. So at this stage, the Soviets should be on their last legs. This is like historical sort of. It's again historical levels of like mass encirclement, things like that. But you can see the joys of that exploitation because you've got enough soft attack to beat infantry. The only thing that's going to stop you is tanks. But the Soviet player at this stage is not going to have a lot of tanks because he's got to go air to stop your Cas. So really, all you're going to have is a big old problem for the Soviets because you'll be able to do these big spearheads and they won't be able to counter. You will have to do this with medium tanks, so heavy tanks are too expensive, you won't manage that. And the light tanks will only work if the Soviet player is not invested in anti-tank or anti-tank units with, say, anti-tank motorized to, break through and stop those spearheads. At this stage, you can pretty much chill. The back is broken on this. It's only September and you've already wiped out the majority of your army. If you're feeling particularly greedy, you can keep on punching through while your troops break through these encirclements here. However, it's not really worth it. But my basic general rule is you're going to need air, you're going to need Cas, and you're going to need a healthy chunk of of motorized, and you're going to want to have those breakthrough units. You're going to have your few breakthrough tank units, and the rest are going to be your exploitation. And because your exploitation can go 12 kilometers an hour, with the Germans, you have all these speed buffs, and so you can just plow straight on through, and you can see just do this devastating amount of damage. So I'm going to hold the offensives again. That is 20, that's more than 20, but I've just killed so many of them that already that it's no longer an issue. I'm going to start really trying to get my oil up from anyone who will trade with me. A funny amusing thing I found is that the AI will actually sometimes give you fuel, which is cool. But not this time. This time, like, no. But yeah, North Africa is very fun now in single player. Multiplayer, not so much, but single player, yes. I'm going to halt the offensives temporarily. Send the army down here. Just to crush the British. How did the unit get encircled down? It did. Fortunately, I don't have enough units to hold my entire line because of the amount of the scale of encirclements. But it's pretty chonky, as you can see. Even the Romanians are doing extremely well with all that death stack. I'm going to move my infantry up. I'm going to counter-attack as soon as possible. Break through using that copious amount of soft attack. Get an encirclement. This even works against the French AI as well. Finish this off. Let's help the Italians one more time. Okay, that's good enough. We've done enough damage. We're going to retreat back up. See that my train's getting bombed again, so we're going to put some of our air up to counter. I've actually got an awful lot of air stacked up. Now, tanks are quite deadly, and it's quite difficult to shoot them down now. So heavy fighters do look like they may be making a comeback. However, they're quite expensive, so you may have to make a decision whether or not it's worth doing or not. Okay, let's take a look at the next supply line. The next supply line looks like a nice healthy boy over there. So we're going to move our vehicles over. Take a look at our supply lines. You can see it's all red here. So we're going to go hop, hop, and upgrade this. And see if I can do war bonds. Any level 4? So these guys are level 4 now. I'm going to make them infantry experts, and I'm going to give them unexpected thrust. Oh, I can't because they've got to be above level 4. This guy's level 5. This is good. Level 5 infantry expert. It's a bit tedious, a bit busy work, but you know how it is. Level 4, so he can't be upgraded. Level 4. Level 4. I'll give one guy over to this unit. Fly-wise, we're not doing too badly. I mean, we've got enough guns to last us for a while. And now our tanks are in position. They may run out of fuel. But it doesn't matter because they've already taken a tile. So this is definitely going to need to be upgraded rather quick, sharpish. And we're going to halt our offensives for now. Because there's no supply over there, we're going to try and push up north instead. There's this constant back and forth thing going between supply points to supply points. So we're going to try and push to Leningrad using the Blitzkrieg technique. We don't want to cheese, so we're going to try and hold all our line. It's November time. Let's try and get one more breakthrough before winter sets in. They can't pin because of how quick, because of how much soft attack I've got. I'm moving in to take the next supply point. Because we're going so fast, the fuel's not really that much of a problem. Have we taken the next supply point yet? Where's the next supply point? Oh, no, the next supply point is in fact Leningrad. But these mass encirclements are more or less doing what we need to do. And each new tile we get, I believe, also gives me a little bit of fuel because of the ingrown basic supply each tile has. They're just going to move straight to Leningrad, get that resupplied. And we're going to pin this guy here. Even with no fuel, it's still doing copious amounts of damage. Let's do one more offensive, why not? He's going to bomb it up here to stop me, and he's stopped me, but that's not the end of the world. Can't upgrade any more supply because of how far away it is, but there you go, we took Leningrad, so now we can get supplied. This probably wouldn't work against a player again because unfortunately a player would have Garrison Leningrad to prevent that from happening. Anyway, this supply line's been taken, we can close this pocket. Starting to snow, so we're not going to make a lot of progress. We're going to take a lot of attrition if we keep on trying to push now. So we're just going to try and use our tanks to close off what's left. We'll go 5 speed because there's no need to overdo it. Move up to Tallinn. Attempted D-Day, it's not going to work. Yeah, not going to work. I still got plenty in the bank. The fall of Rome. Let's finish this pocket off first before we go help the Italians. Although I may send some air just to keep the Italians happy. So now, because I'm not very confident about the AI's ability to hold its flanks, we're going to send it down, or to hold Italy. We're going to send our soft attack guys down to save the Italians. Okay, with this done, we can close this pocket. Finish this off. I wonder if they're piercing me. Yeah, they're piercing me a little bit, but not enough to make me too nervous. And our oil once again is running out, so we need to go buy some more from Iran. Oh wow, they counterattacked and almost took Leningrad. Okay, let's retreat out of Leningrad then. Anyway, we've almost contained the British invasion. There we are. Over 24 divisions I no longer need to worry about. So we take a look at our losses, 72% win rate, manpower lost 400k, in combat 46,000 men, compared to the 138,000 lost by the Soviets. Anyway, where should we be pushing next? So you can see the two supply lines there, and we could keep pushing to Leningrad, or we could try a cheeky push to capture Rezev, followed by Smolensk. So there's Rezev, and there is, I believe, Smolensk there. We could try and do a blitzkrieg south instead of aiming for Moscow, aiming for these objectives. But we don't need to push. We can wait. We've secured most of our objectives. We're going to make sure we put a garrison down here now, and we're just going to wait for a little bit. They are trying to do a sneaky counterattack. Well, they are trying to counterattack, but it's not really working. Now we just keep going. I wonder if it's snowing. It's still snowing, so there's no real need to push yet. I wonder if it's snowing down south as well. Yeah, it's all snowing, so there's no point pushing. This is where you sort of wait for a while, for about a year. Put a garrison on this port just to prevent people, you know, getting on it. Let's expand this a bit so it's not so chonky. Take a look at our supplies. So you can see our supplies are a little bit pants right now. So we're going to go mechanized, motorized, and we're going to chill. I'm going to chill until the weather stops, basically. Cheeky breakthrough because my that line isn't overlapping. There we are. Did this take anything important? No, they just pushed into encirclement, basically. Let's put some more air down here. Close this off, why not? March time, the weather's still bad. I wonder if we can push in the snow. Probably not really worth it, if I'm honest. Let's put more into our support equipment. And let's wait. They didn't take anything important, they've just left themselves extremely open. Another attempted naval invasion. With tanks this time, which is rather amusing. Sadly didn't do very well. Still march time, no need to push. We're done here. No need to focus on this anymore. How's our supplies? Still pretty pants. Let's upgrade this some more. Here you are, one more pocket to close down. April time. Okay, the weather's getting better. Let's do a counterattack. Using that copious amount of air support we have. Still bad movement because it's not really the right time to be doing this yet. And plus, it's not very good terrain. Yeah, it's not good at all. Let's cancel this. Let's try and push elsewhere. Let's instead try and push along this route. That's 20 tanks just wiped out because of the AI. Any D-days have to be too worried about? Not really. That's not a port, so it's fine. Okay, it's April time. The weather's getting better. Let's go for a push. Let's do a general offensive now as well. Once the front lines collapse, everything else follows. It's just a pretty easy push now. Now just, beeline up to a Zev. Of course, normally I'd be a bit more careful. Actually, I wouldn't. I'd just be beelining up to a Zev. There you are. That's that supply line taken. And then we can take the next look at the next one. Which really isn't much. It's just like Moscow next. Still. And because we don't have a lot of infantry, our supplies aren't that bad either in these sectors.
Zum Ausrücken.
Let's have a Kalinin now.
Angetreten.
Come on now, gentlemen. Keep attacking. This is not very impressive. Well, it's impressive to achieve this as quickly as understanding the DLC, but actually AI is not very good. Even though it's improved, once you've learned its behaviours, it becomes quite an easy thing to achieve. And against a player, of course, this won't work because a player would have full back lines, he'd have the Stalin line, he would have anti-tank, you'd have the Allied air. It would be a lot harder. He would have destroyed things. He would actually be defending his supply dumps a bit better. Maybe I would recommend, if you do go to multiplayer, at least putting some garrisons on supply dumps to stop blitzkriegs like this. If they do try to do a medium tank motorized blitzkrieg, just put a few boys in there, maybe with some anti-tank, and you can slow it down and stall it and potentially counterattack. Any case, that just leaves one last supply point for these guys, which is actually that's completely cut off. So we're going to move our troops over here again. And we're going to finish it off with a blitzkrieg from this perspective. We're starting to run out of guns, so we need to stop a lot of what we're doing. We are running out of infantry equipment. Let's buy it from these fellows. We're running out of motorized, and we are running out of other things. So let us reduce our production on tanks. So once again, we've got the offensive prepared, counter-attack, punch through. You see if that stack soft attack, it's just going straight through. Again, your motorized have that stack soft attack, so you can stack that armor and that hard attack in your actual main tank divisions. So this isn't by no means perfect, but it's certainly very good against an AI. And another encirclement achieved. So once again, close this down, encircle the pocket, use our tanks to close it down. We're pretty much outside Moscow. I could pretty easily take it if I wanted to. No invasion of Western Balkans. We should be alright. I haven't seen the US rock up yet, so we should be fine. No bombing there, some bombing there, no bombing there. Some air over here being a bit of a nightmare, so I'll have to send more planes to support my Romanian brethren. Let's send that support as well. We are hemorrhaging motorized, which is not good. Anyway, let's go take Moscow. Whoa, hey. So what you should have is one general on your Panzer arm and one general on your motorized to get that combined arms Panzer expert synergy, but I didn't bother. See, the Romanians are starting to push through because of all the work we've done up north. Romanians are actually doing pretty well for themselves, which is pretty good. Good to know the AI can handle itself, and plus you don't want troops down in that sector anyway. So we'll start punching through now. And if we can't push through, then we will just have to improvise, adapt, and overcome. I think we should be able to push through pretty easily, though. The Cas should deal with any decent armor. Rather amusingly, the line's starting to expand, even though I don't really want to. But hey ho, he's giving me this, so I can't complain too much. I think that's a supply line. No, it's not. It's a shame. In any case, let's upgrade this supply. Looks like he will have to come through the north and the south to punch through these positions. But anyway, now that we've taken Moscow, we can now upgrade the Moscow supply. Take our units. Let's delete this. Now do other things. So we can either keep pushing up north into Leningrad, or we can help the Romanians down south. In any case, I'm probably not going to do either. Finally, we're getting this fixed. We probably have to put more on artillery now, because we threw it all away. And our infantry equipment's almost back to snuff. So in terms of casualties, we have got, I don't care about the Allied casualties, we've got 3.8 to my 2 million. Not still pretty costly, but that's because I'm just been right-clicking with the general offensives for the infantry. So combined with the Cas, should be able to break through. They are starting to partially pierce my tanks, but I've got so many of them it doesn't matter. Let's do some micro. You just see by the speed of these units, once they do achieve a breakthrough, there's no slowing them down. I don't think you'll be able to do medium tank and light tank sort of breakthrough. You're going to have to use motorized or mechanized, but this, I believe, is a really good design. At least the motorized at the very least. For multiplayer. For single player, of course, light tanks would do. From here, we can then stop, get a grip, and try and blitzkrieg around this point. August 1942. They're pretty much broken at this stage. I'm just mopping them up. I mean, there's some parts of the line that aren't even covered anymore. And the good thing is that, yeah, it's actually probably busted it, and because once you do take the supply dumps with these deep penetrations, they can't, they'll normally just stay on that front line and just starve. Okay, another general offensive. It's summertime, let's do some advancing. Another pocket. The other thing is I can actually break through a little bit before the oil runs out, which is great. So you probably will need to stack soft attack a little bit in these builds, especially with the tanks. Well, actually, maybe not with the tanks, but with at least the motorized artillery to stack up that damage. So these guys are going to be garrisons. Romania's like carrying itself, which is nice. You can see there's no supply lines here anymore, so there's no real point in advancing in this sector. Instead, we should start beginning to punch down south. So instead, we're going to see where the next supply line is, where the enemy is. So their next supply line will be at Kursk. Now, I reckon I can be a clever boy and punch through here pretty easily. We're going to hold the offensives for a little while we wait for the panzers to come down. We're going to upgrade our supply line a bit. See where the supply is coming for these guys. See, there's not much supply coming for these guys. If we took this fellow here, we may be in a better spot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to order an attack on this. Garbage D-Day. Oh, garbage Balkan D-Day. Nothing to be too worried about. Some attempts at naval invasion here, perhaps? I've got troops garrisoning this, I believe. And back over here. So if we secured Brunetsk, let's just finish this off. Push these guys back. And this will mean that our supply line should hopefully be much more improved for the next engagement. The good thing about taking Moscow is that you can see that the rail lines start spanning out, which means that if you can take Moscow in, say, a multiplayer game, the game becomes a lot easier because you can start pushing out and using the rail line going straight from Germany to Moscow to feed your armies rather than having to go through all these sort of treasure trails. So I do think Moscow will be the initial push for a lot of people for that rail network, which I think is quite historically accurate, personally. I actually quite like that quite a lot. In any case, we can see we're getting supplied again. They can blitz. They can now order a general offensive because it's still good weather, so there's no need not to. And we're pretty much close to breaking the back of this. Let's do some micro. So I do expect synergized combat arms like this, because motorized artillery isn't that bad. And especially if you want to put like one light tank on it as well, just to boost its armor a little bit. So Kharkov's taken. And we can finish this another rather large and glorious encirclement off. And because of the rail line here, going to Moscow, I can punch through and do these encirclements after a certain number of days. So once again, we halt, advance. But this is why I say this is like pinching the front line closed. This is why in multiplayer games you'll hopefully be punching from both ways. So you have the long arm punching this way and the short arm punching through the harder positions to preferably get that last part of the encirclement. In any case, we've got to wait a few days before this is back online. Or, no, we don't, because that supply line isn't connected. So what we're going to do is, in fact, connect this supply line here. And then we'll wait, and then you should hopefully see the colour change. There you are, that's that slight change there. Let's see if I can do some more war bonds for you. Just pause it so I can just keep an eye on the rest of the front, because of course AI can do whatever it wants. Like this, and this can be a complete disaster. Oh, there's no supply connection to the... Yeah, it should be. I'm building one up for you. Let's just do an offensive. We've pretty much closed it anyway. We've got enough oil and Cas to do some value. Let's go to aggressive. Close this off. You can see that's all green now because of the pocket expansion. Because I do need to come back to deal with this. The German, because the AI has a tendency to throw my games. That should be connected. I don't understand why it's saying it's not. In any case, it doesn't matter. They're still expanding, but not connected to capital. So how it's supposed to work, it's supposed to go up here, join this connection here. Unless it still hasn't been connected just yet. In any case, try and close this off, boys. I haven't got all day. So I've got to go and sort this out. I've got to sort a lot of that out. There we are. Now it's coming in, and see the supply is suddenly back online. I think it's starting to rain, so I won't be able to do much in this weather now. You know what? I'm gonna have to halt. I'm gonna have to halt this encirclement. I've got to stop whatever's coming over here. Let's deal with this first. Because once again, the Italy player's throwing. Well, the Italy AI is throwing. Historical Italy much. Starting to run out of artillery pieces, so once again, start cracking these out. We're also running out of trucks again. Fortunately, I have rubber out the arse, so it's not that bad. I do like this this husky. It's very entertaining. Let's see how well it works now with the rest of my armor and my air down. Nope. Hey, Italy, I've saved you again. Sort yourself out. Because they are starting to move into Germany, battle boys, so I need you to sort yourselves out. Fortunately, you guys shouldn't have much air superiority here, which is great for me. Yeah, we got a load of Cas, got a load of air. We should be fine. Push through here. That we're low on trucks. Oh, not anymore, we're not. Okay, time to start garrisoning Italy because he stopped garrisoning himself. And as much as I love constantly having to save Italy and slowing down my offensive in the north, I don't. Guy's got 1,000 planes. Okay, so we've pushed it back a little bit. Once again, close this down. Deal with mainland Italy first, because I can't allow Italy to collapse. I'll come back, deal with that in a second. Still running out of artillery pieces. Probably because I'm not trading for it. Wow, that's a very aggressive AI. Very impressed by that. They are going for the weakest link. That's very impressive. I'm not going to bother garrisoning the right side. No, Italy's lack of this lack of garrisoning is really winding me up. Okay, is it winter weather? Not really, and we're still pushing, so I think we should halt for a bit. Send these guys down. Once again, move these guys back over. And aim for another counter. Actually, we're going to let's set up on the north and try and come down from there with a rather aggressive blitzkrieg blow. Let's go. They're starting to pierce me. So I'm going to start changing my tank designs a bit. Let's get rid of some of these because I don't need them. And let's start upgrading these. Like I said, they don't have to be very fast. You can see once the initial breakthrough is made, it's just, there's no... I'm going so fast, they can't stop me. Alright, where are they D-Daying now? Everywhere, basically. And that should finish them off. I'm glad I don't have this now, even though it does stall me by a year. Because if I hadn't, then I had run the risk of potentially American tanks, American air starting to establish itself. Fortunately, there's not a lot of American airports in this sector, meaning that, well, not enough airports for the Americans to put enough planes down to counter me. But if they were to D-Day in the north and I didn't push them out soon enough, then it wouldn't be a good idea. That's why it's always a good idea to put units over there, just in case. I'm still trying to churn things out for these guys. My weapon deficit's also going soon. It's not that bad a deficit. So the next objective is finally Stalingrad. So I think the best idea is to punch from the north and then punch down south. So I'm going to take my troops here. And I'm going to aim to blitzkrieg to Stalingrad and fight here. More D-Days. I'm going to give the Romanians more territory. Actually, I'm not, because I don't trust the Romanians not to fuck things up. I just know if I don't garrison all these ports, the Italians will fuck me. So it's Feb 1943. Really, I could have knocked these guys out soon if it wasn't for my allies. But hey-ho, let's try not to get too salty about it. And then let us do another general offensive. Once again, let us use the air to punch. Let's use our panzers to punch through. Panzers weren't as effective as in the east and the Western Front, and the reason for that is because in the Western Front, the Allies will have much more better units, better equipped. Also have anti-tank in the Americans, and plus the Americans, and they'll have air superiority, whereas in this sector they won't. They've started rolling out tanks, but it's not enough with the Cas, so I can just roll on through. It's a beautiful thing to see this breakthrough occur. It's really, really nice to see. I know a lot of people say, yeah, breakthrough's dead. Maybe in multiplayer, but I think as long as if there's no roach build and you've got that air superiority and that, you can do these big encirclements. You just need exploitation units, which is going to be good because it's going to allow more synergy with the Axis nations. You're going to see. You're going to see, you know, Panzer arms. You're going to have the Romanian motorised arm, the Bulgarian motorised arms, and the Panzer arm all pushing together in one concerted effort in parts of the sector, which is going to be good. I'm looking forward to that. So their next supply base is, I think it's like Vladivostok. No? Where's their capital now then? Won't tell me. It's a shame. Oh, Sevastopol. So what I will say about trying to push to Stalingrad is that there's quite a long space, but there's a lot of plains, meaning that you'll have the best terrain for armor. In any case, we're good here. We can stop, form a nice line. And continue expanding. That's not good, so we're going to start moving things over to stop it. And potentially moving units off the Western Front soon as well. No supply line from the capital. You are talking at your ass. Oh, because this railway has just been recently taken. So I can't advance yet. So we'll just have to stop for a while. We can advance, but it's just not worth it. Anyway, DT failed again, but it's going to get there soon. I just got to hope the Italian AI is going to get a grip and start garrisoning itself. I don't think it is. It's still on a mad goose chase to be a pain in my ass. In any case, we still got to wait until this is back online. Now it is. Now we can begin another more offensives. Let's expand at will. This stage of the war is pretty much a done deal. The only thing I would say is that don't ignore these days like you used to, because they can, once they do land, especially in the north of France, the airports and that will be your undoing. This is without any like cheats or strengths or anything like that, so all equal playing field. No transport planes, all that jazz. So really, just like if you joined the game and played it standard. But I just skipped through all the other stuff to because it would have been boring to watch like 2 hours of waiting until 1941. I've already do like 6 hours in multiplayer, so it's not worth it. But you get a general idea of the build and that, and you can see its effects. Its ability to exploit uncovered areas, so I reckon 2-layer defenses, things like that. Once the motorized Panzer becomes more mainstream and more meta, expect more 2 or 3-layer defenses from the Soviets to counteract this sort of easy breakthrough scenario. I'm running out of guns again, so I've got to halt my offensives. The good thing about losing your capital, which a lot of people don't know, is that then you can make a new supply point or new capital. So if you say you lost Moscow, you can select this, and on the bottom of this, so let me just pretend this is Moscow, or pretend this is like this depot over here. There's a little bit button here that would say make this your capital supply depot, and that will basically prevent cheese where players will just try and encircle, say, Sevastopol, when you won't be able to do anything about it. In any case, it's April 1943. The good thing is that I am quite impressed by the AI's ability to keep churning out units, especially as the Soviets. That's quite an impressive thing to see. We've never been able to take Greece because we just ran out of supply, and well, the AI just blocks me. That's the next encirclement done. I need to get more guns, and I'm running out of light tanks. So what I need to do now is see what I've got loads of, which is this fellow. So switch that to 5 and bring that to 3. I've got plenty of this. Let's crack out more guns. How much supply equipment have I got? I've got 2k again, which is rather funny. I got motorized out the arse again. Let's get our guns back up. And let's get our tanks back up. In the meantime, yeah, we can chill. Pretty done deal at this stage. How much have the Soviets got left to give? Oh, they got quite a lot to give. I've been punching down here when there's been no real reason to do so because there's no supply here. But next supply dump's there, so if I just make a run for it and just try and link it up. See if that works. Whoa, whoa, whoa. 0 on air supply, thank God. I thought I was cheesing for a second. I was like, oh God. No, 0 on air supply, that's fine. 0 on air supply. I don't think I even have the order to air supply. No, I don't. Good. You're not air supplying, are you? Good. I'm going to delete you just in case. So with this supply line captured, I believe With this supply line captured, we can now link this via railroad back up to this main rail hub there and upgrade it. We may as well do war bonds. You can push, you just need less units on the front, and you need very good units as well to just counteract the air. In any case, this is now contained. I can focus on other things like, I don't know, pushing in this sector. Oh wow, these guys almost broke through. That's dangerous. That's actually really dangerous. Do a counterattack quickly. I think that's cut off our supply lines. It has. But thankfully we stopped it in time. Okay, so this is the dangers of blitzkrieging too greedily, but we just about managed to salvage it. And now we can close down the last of this pocket. Good thing I was paying attention, otherwise that would have been a bad day. We're still running out of guns, like it's running out, like we're running out of guns on nobody's business, so we need to sort that out. I just don't know what else to dump. I wonder if we can increase our efficiency one last time. So this, you probably should use mechanized, but mechanized is slower. I think motorized is better. So as long as you've got more production on mechanized, you're fine. Still, I find the lack of guns disturbing. And the lack of tanks, if I'm honest. You know what, let's keep pushing. These guys will have to fall soon. I don't want you to push up there. But it looks like you've already started pushing up there anyway. I don't think anyone's got any guns left. Which is oof. Still, the Baku oil field's almost closed up. 5 million casualties to my 3. Pretty even Stevens, but hoping to get more guns from this, from the encirclements. But there's so many of the bloody of the boys just lurking around, making it very difficult for me to close this down. In any case, we can equip these guys with... we can't do it with expert because that's busted. With new stuff.
Abstand halten. Bereit. Bereit zum Ausrücken.
And then finally, we are going to check our resistance. Make sure to give isn't too bad. I think I found a way to get this off. So I cheesed the garrisons a bit by putting one light tank on this, but too expensive, I think. So I'm not going to anymore. Italy's getting naval invaded again, and these guys aren't getting naval invaded as well, but it's not working, thank God. I'm going to put some air up just in case. Look, they're actually putting ships out now. It's very impressive. I normally put the FOW off when I'm playing single player because I less like to see what the enemy units are doing. And also, you guys get to see the grander scope of what the other AI and what the other enemy nations are doing. But you can get the general idea of what's going on. Some would say it makes life a little bit easier, but you generally know with the AI that what it's going to do and how it's going to behave. So with that oil taken, I don't think I need to buy any more from these nations. And these guys will move back up, and then we can start focusing on other objectives. So what else should we take? Let's just push the center now. I think we've more or less broken the back of the Soviet. And I believe we should have a lot of captured enemy equipment. Well, we should do, really. Alright, who's bombing us and where? Okay, we're getting bombed there. Only a few bombers. Oh, we've been constantly attacking as well, which is probably a reason why. We'll turn these guys to automatically attack. There's no need not to. Where was Moscow? Did we take Moscow a while back? Yeah, Moscow's over there. This is the thing. Once you get to this stage, it can be an absolute nightmare to keep on breaking them. So, again, multiplayer, you might want to do collaboration governments. But then again, it's quite expensive to do, so it's, you know, 50-50 whether you want to do it or not. And even then at this stage, if the Russians haven't been building or retreating, or if most of their army's been wiped out, then it'll be normally a GG at this stage. Because really, once you lose Moscow, they've only got a few supply lines, and then they just start getting mass cut off. So I just wanted to show off this this division build. It's pretty good on the western and the eastern front because the Soviets won't have enough industry to really build anti-tank or en masse, but on the western front it will struggle a little bit. So it's very important you don't allow D-days to occur, or you have copious amounts of air support. Very good 49 armor. It's going to struggle late game, but with that amount of breakthrough, that amount of self-attack, it's going to even if it does get pierced, it's going to be very difficult for people to pin that armor down. But however, it will take a lot of casualties over time. So not good for multiplayer, great for single player, but the concept is the same. Really, medium armor, slower, more medium tanks, slower, more armor, with soft attack or normal cannons to initially punch through, and then your soft attack motorized for exploitation. And that will eventually, I suspect, evolve into a play style in multiplayer, where you see a lot of nations do that, because all it will take is if people try and mass armor or make loads of 40 width or loads of 30 width basic armor, or do the old meta of just loads of like 30 width standard armor templates. Someone's just going to counter that with anti-tank, or they're going to counter it with more tanks basically, or more or better, stronger tank divisions, preventing encirclements and leading to this slow grind. However, if people are willing to sort of add that micro and do that sort of change up, then you're going to see the return of the powerful tank. Because with this, I can make powerful tanks. I can make powerful 30 whip tanks. You could even make 40 whip tanks if I wanted, because I've got the motorized soft attack to exploit those holes. So in a multiplayer game, I would be able to bring a lot, really be a very powerful encircling tool like the old days. Whereas, of course, if I was to do 30 width, some armor, some breakthrough, some soft attack, some speed, it's gonna not those tanks are gonna be pretty garbage. It's just a very interesting build, and I highly recommend you guys give it a go when you do go to your multiplayer games, because you'll have the joys of the old armor, of the high breakthrough or the high soft attack or whatever you want, with also the joys of the exploitation, which right now a lot of players are struggling to find that exploitation with their armors, and it's leading to these slow grinds and these slow breakthroughs. But as you can see here, these breakthroughs haven't been slow in the slightest. I've been a tad aggressive though sometimes, I will admit, and then I would have paid dearly for a lot of those spearheads in the multiplayer, so I'd have to be a bit more cautious, but the general principle was pretty much the same, and it works fine. And once again, another glorious encirclement. Still, let me stress this before people try and bring this light tank into a multiplayer game. Don't bring the light tank variant of this, what I've used, into a multiplayer game. Bring a medium tank variant with, say, medium cannon or anti-tank, improved anti-tank, and have that as your breakthrough anti-tank weapon, or your breakthrough all-rounder weapon, and then let your motorized be that soft attack boy. So what I'd recommend is like 3 medium tanks, either the improved anti-tank gun or improved medium cannon, armor out the wazoo, as long as you've got 80% reliability and about 9% speed. That's armor the shite out of it. And then you have all those 12-kilometer speedy boys, motorized artillery behind. So you can do the rolling with your good medium tanks, while also beating back any counter pushes or encirclements from the enemy's more cheapo all-rounder tanks. Because all you can do is encircle those cheapo all-rounder tanks, or just punch them back once and they've lost. Whereas with these, there's a lot of potential for comeback. In any case, the Soviets are almost on their last legs. There's another attempted D-Day. I do like how the AI is better at their D-Days, but it can be frustrating sometimes, especially like when you've got the Italy, and Italy doesn't really know what it's doing, and it's just allowing itself to be wiped out.
Suchen Deckung.
Do I actually ever bother? I should have gone for armor trains. Also, research armor trains. Research armor trains. And that is the Soviets wiped out. All gone. So I'll just puppet him. Or can I just auto this? This is going to take ages. And we are done. Peace conference over. Calculating effects. Go ahead. So, let's just overview it. Altogether, very good breakthrough, and this is a good for single player tank. Use a medium tank variant with this with probably improved cannon. Let that be your punch through or your anti-tank or your tank combatter. So really, let's make it more sensible, just in case I really hammer it home. So altogether, I've got 5 good 30 whip light tanks. I could have a lot more if I wanted, but they're all 30 whip. They're armored out the wazoo. They're 39 production, and they can fight. What you want is like maybe 6. Well, in multiplayer, you can have a lot more factories, so probably 9, maybe 10 of these bad boys with medium armor instead, with either improved anti-tank to be their counter armor against the enemy's armor, or improved cannon to be your general all-purpose breakthrough weapon. You want to armor it to shite. Let's give it constant armor, so it can protect itself against anti-tank weaponry and enemy armor, and its speed can be around about 9 kilometers because it doesn't need to do the exploitation. And behind it, you're going to have a whole horde of motorized or mechanized artillery, motorized artillery with that 12-kilometer speed to push through and exploit and go for those supply points. No more you're just trying to do a perfect circle. You're going to go for a supply point, and then on the other side, you're going to try and have your allies punch up the other side, or you're going to have another armor element to punch up on the other side and secure that other side of that supply line. And then from there, you can expand out or close down the pocket. That's what you're going to do. Hammer and anvil. Push one flank, push the other. And then really this will work. I don't think anything will stop it. As long as you've got enough air to prevent the allied air spam, I can honestly say that if you do this, it's going to be very powerful, and you're going to see the encirclements of the old days. However, do not use light tanks on multiplayer. As you can see, the armor's not good enough. It will get pierced. So here's my soft attack build. Perfect soft attack against infantry. Okay breakthrough against infantry. Good speed. This is going to be a general all-round advice. And this is my single player design with 49 armor, the highest I could get it. This will be good for single player. Multiplayer, it's not going to be good because attached anti-tank is enough to knock these bad boys out. But single player is great, and if you use a medium tank variant of this, you could do 30 whips or 20 whips, whatever you want. In fact, I could have had more light tanks, but I lost 3 in El Alamein. So actually, if you did a medium tank build, I would expect you to see 5, at the very least 5 of these. But this is a good design for single player, and it's a good concept for multiplayer, having the initial punch through and then the exploitation. The only counters I can see would be, of course, not having air, running out of equipment, not being able to produce enough, but this counters that because you've got cheaper equipment all around, and rear and fallback lines. But that can be sorted with things like scout planes, spies, and just being careful and not being too greedy in your breakthroughs. Anyway, that's me done for the day, boys. Thank you all for... Oh yeah, and I'll show you my light tank design for single player. Advanced Leopard C. You can see here, beautiful thing with close support gun, main turret, basic radio, smoke launchers, sloped armor, wet ammunition storage, 12 speed, blah blah blah, 9 kilometers per hour, 64 armor. And if you're going to do, say, a medium tank build, you'd be wanting to use the improved cannon or the improved anti-tank or the improved high velocity gun. And then pretty much the same for everything else, just to keep that speed up. So really, the only difference will be cost, but even then it shouldn't be that expensive. It should be pretty much on par, because you won't have to invest as much into armor if you brought medium tanks along. Anyway, that's it for me for the day, boys. Thank you all for watching, and adieu.